welcome to FM Talks.
Glad to be here.
Okay, let's jump right into it today, because we are tackling something that is so universally felt.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, it almost physically hurts to talk about something.
Yeah.
I want you to picture this scenario, and I know you know exactly what this feels like.
We all do.
It is, it's 5:00 p.m.
Right.
It's a Tuesday.
Always a Tuesday.
Always. You've just walked through the front door after this incredibly long, messy day.
Just exhausting.
One of those days where your brain feels like it has been running a high-speed marathon.
Constantly putting out fires.
Yes, putting out fires, answering emails, making 100 tiny decisions.
And you were probably just sitting at a desk all day.
Exactly, or rushing between meetings.
Yeah.
But you walk inside, you drop your keys on the counter,
Take that deep breath.
you take a deep breath, you kick off your shoes,
And then you look at the kitchen.
you turn and look at the kitchen, you open the refrigerator door, and that cold light spills out into the dim kitchen.
The dreaded fridge stare.
And you're just standing there bathed in it, staring at this completely random assortment of raw ingredients.
It's the worst feeling.
There is a head of broccoli that's starting to look a little yellow and tired.
A little sad.
Very sad. There's some raw chicken in a plastic package that you bought maybe 3 days ago.
Yeah.
There's a half-empty jar of something you don't even remember buying.
Yeah.
And in that exact, precise moment, this massive wave of decision fatigue just crashes over you.
It really is the absolute heaviest moment of the day.
It is.
Because you are experiencing this brutal transition from your professional life,
Right.
where you've been actively managing choices and mitigating crises all day,
Right. Your brain is just fried.
to your home life, where you are immediately expected to seamlessly shift gears and make even more choices.
Yes.
The cognitive load doesn't stop, it just changes venues.
Right. But why is it always the kitchen that breaks us? I mean, I can come home and easily decide to sort the mail or fold a blanket. But the second I look at that raw chicken, my brain just completely shuts down. What is actually happening to us in that 5:00 p.m. window?
What's happening is a biological reality.
Okay.
It's known as decision fatigue, and it's a huge focus of the materials we're looking at today.
Because it's a real physical thing.
It is. Every time you make a decision during the day,
Uh-huh.
whether it's how to respond to a sensitive email, what project to prioritize, or even just navigating traffic on the way home,
Yeah. Traffic is the worst.
you are burning through a finite supply of glucose and neurotransmitters.
In your brain.
Yes, specifically in your prefrontal cortex. That's the part of your brain responsible for executive function.
Like complex planning.
Exactly. By the time 5:00 p.m. rolls around, that tank is running on fumes.
So it's empty.
Completely. So when you're staring the fridge, you aren't just looking at food.
What are you looking at?
You're looking at a complex puzzle that requires executive function you simply do not possess at that hour.
That makes so much sense. It's that classic wired but tired feeling, right?
Precisely.
Your nervous system is buzzing and overstimulated from the day.
Yeah.
But your physical energy and your mental bandwidth are completely depleted.
They're gone.
And so, for you listening, standing in front of that open fridge, the spiral begins.
The mental math,
You start doing the mental math. You think, okay, if I take out that chicken, I have to trim it,
which takes 10 minutes.
and it's gross.
It is.
Then I have to figure out a marinade. Then I have to chop that tired broccoli.
But the cutting board is dirty.
Exactly. The large cutting board is still dirty from making breakfast.
Yeah.
So suddenly, making a simple, basic dinner feels like climbing Mount Everest.
It's insurmountable.
And then the guilt creeps in, which just makes it worse.
The guilt is actually the most toxic part of that entire spiral.
It really is.
You feel guilty for ignoring the groceries you spent your hard-earned money on over the weekend.
Right.
You feel guilty because you know you should be making something nourishing.
For yourself and your family.
Exactly. But the sheer debate over what to make and the steps required to make it is so exhausting.
You just give up.
Eventually, your brain just demands an escape hatch.
And we all know exactly what that escape hatch is.
We do.
You close the fridge door,
Yeah.
you grab your phone, you open a delivery app.
And you default to ordering takeout.
It's going to be expensive. It's probably going to take 45 minutes to arrive anyway.
Usually longer.
And it's usually less than ideal nutritionally, but you just need to get everyone fed.
You desperately need the decision-making process to be over.
You're paying a premium just to make the problem go away.
Exactly. It's a completely understandable reaction to a flawed daily rhythm.
So it's not a moral failure.
Not at all. When you reach that profound level of cognitive fatigue, you aren't choosing takeout because you necessarily crave it.
Right.
You're choosing it as a rescue mechanism.
You're buying your way out of the mental friction.
Yes, you're buying your way out of the evening. And this specific pain point, that 5:00 p.m. kitchen panic, is exactly what we are exploring today.
I am so ready for this.
We are pulling from a really fascinating stack of sources to try and solve this. We have sociological research on the effects of decision fatigue.
Which we just touched on.
Right. We have a huge file of user-submitted notes from listeners experiencing this exact evening burnout.
It's so common.
And we are anchoring all of this with a brilliantly pragmatic book called 30-Minute Healthy Dinners.
Which I love because just looking at our notes, this source does not position itself as a traditional cookbook.
It doesn't.
I mean, I have a shelf full of aspirational cookbooks.
With the gorgeous photos.
Yes, gorgeous photos of complicated culinary projects that I will literally never make on a Tuesday.
Never.
This source seems completely different.
It is entirely different. I like to refer to it simply as the guide.
The guide, okay.
Because it functions more like a roadmap for reclaiming your evening rhythm.
I like that word rhythm.
It looks directly at that 5:00 p.m. panic and says, we can engineer a better way to live.
So it's not about knife skills.
No, it's not about learning how to brunoise a carrot perfectly. It's about fundamentally restructuring how food fits into your busy modern life. The guide shares this incredibly grounding story right at the beginning about a woman named Sarah.
Tell me about Sarah.
She's a busy mother of 2 young children. She works full-time.
Sounds familiar.
She's managing a household, and she was trapped in the exact painful cycle you just described.
I feel like I know Sarah.
We all know Sarah.
I feel like I have been Sarah on many, many occasions. What was her evening looking like before she changed her flow?
It was a daily state of dread.
Dread, wow.
The hours between 5:00 p.m. and bedtime were just a chaotic, stressful scramble.
High tension.
Very high tension. She was
Yeah.
constantly snapping at her kids because she was overwhelmed.
Oh, it's the worst feeling.
And it almost always ended in that expensive, unhealthy takeout because she simply ran out of runway.
The time and energy were gone.
Gone before she even started. And she felt this immense, crushing guilt about the lack of home-cooked meals.
Because you want to do better.
But she couldn't see a way out. Cooking felt like an insurmountable mountain at the end of a long day.
That guilt is so heavy, especially when you have a family looking at you, hungry and waiting,
Yeah.
and you feel like you're failing at this very basic human task of feeding them.
Yeah.
But let me guess. The solution in the guide isn't that she suddenly quit her demanding job
No, she didn't quit her job.
or magically found 3 extra hours in her day.
And she didn't suddenly enroll in culinary school either.
Right, so what did she do?
What she did was completely transform her family's dinner flow using just a few very simple strategic prep habits.
Habits.
But implementing the rhythms outlined in the guide, she replaced that evening chaos with actual connection.
That's the goal.
She started getting beautiful, flavorful meals on the table in under 30 minutes.
Consistently.
Consistently.
Yeah.
Night after night. The stress melted away, and she actually found herself with time left over in the evenings.
Just to be with her family.
Yes, rather than managing them, she effectively reclaimed her evenings.
Okay, that sounds beautiful in theory.
It does.
It sounds like the absolute dream. But for you listening right now, the real question, the vital pragmatic question is, how do we actually achieve that level of calm on a random rainy Tuesday?
Right, the execution.
And more importantly, how do we do it without spending our entire precious weekend chained to the stove?
A very valid concern.
Because I'll be completely honest with you, if the solution to my weeknight stress is losing my entire Sunday to meal prepping,
And washing Tupperware.
yes, washing a mountain of Tupperware, that is not a trade-off I am willing to make.
I don't blame you.
My weekend is my sanctuary. I need that time to recover.
And it absolutely should be your sanctuary. The materials we're referencing are very clear that this is not about spending 8 hours on a Sunday.
Acting like a commercial line cook.
Exactly. It is about elegance, efficiency, and working significantly smarter, not harder.
Okay, I'm listening.
You don't have to trade your weekend joy for weeknight peace. You can actually have both if you engineer the setup correctly.
Which brings us perfectly to the mission of our deep dive into these sources today.
Let's lay it out.
We're going to extract the very specific, highly logical steps from these materials to help you build a stress-free 30-minute weeknight dinner flow.
Step by step.
We're going to look at the required mindset,
Right.
the actual physical setup of your kitchen,
Crucial.
the exact rhythm of a short, high-yield weekend prep. And then we're going to explore the actual playbook of meals.
The fun part.
We want you to walk away from this conversation knowing exactly how to protect your evening peace. So where does the guide tell us to start? Because I'm guessing step one is not immediately turning on the oven.
You're exactly right. The entire process starts long before you ever touch a spatula.
Okay,
Chapter 1 of the guide focuses entirely on what it calls the 30-minute mindset.
the 30-minute mindset.
And the core philosophy here is quite profound. It's heavily rooted in the psychology we discussed earlier.
The decision fatigue.
Yes. It argues that cooking fast isn't actually about frantic chopping.
Right.
It's not about rushing around your kitchen like you're a stressed-out contestant on a timed cooking competition show.
Throwing things into pans and making a massive mess.
Exactly.
Because that kind of frantic energy just creates a different kind of stress.
Oh, definitely.
You might get the food done, but your cortisol levels are through the roof by the time you sit down to eat.
Exactly. True speed in the kitchen is about intelligent choices made long before the stove is even turned on.
Foresight.
It is about foresight. The logic of the 30-minute mindset is that planning eliminates the mental friction of decision fatigue.
Okay, walk me through that.
The guide illustrates this beautifully with a before versus after week scenario.
Oh, I love these.
It tracks the compounding effects of stress versus the compounding effects of preparation.
Let's look at the before week.
Okay, before week, it's Monday. You get home exhausted.
Typical Monday.
There is no plan. You do the infamous fridge stare. You spend 15 minutes just debating with yourself or agonizing with your partner about what to eat.
The what do you want? I don't know. What do you want? Conversation.
Exactly. Then you finally give up and order a pizza.
Which takes time.
You wait 45 minutes for it to arrive. You have spent an hour in a state of high stress, hunger, and decision paralysis.
And you haven't even cooked anything.
You haven't touched a pan.
And the compounding effect means Tuesday's going to be even worse, right?
Why is that?
Because now you feel guilty about Monday's pizza.
Precisely. On Tuesday, fueled by that guilt, you decide you absolutely will cook.
Come hell or high water.
But because there was no plan, you start looking for recipes at 4:30 p.m.
While you're still at work.
Right. You find one, but you realize you're missing a key ingredient. Let's say fresh ginger or a specific cut of chicken.
Oh, no. So you had to stop at the store.
Yes, you do a quick, unplanned grocery run at 6:00 p.m.
Which is an absolute nightmare. The crowds, the traffic.
It's peak hour. By the time you get home, unpack the bags, prep the ingredients, and actually cook the meal, it's 8:30 p.m.
Your kitchen is a disaster zone.
You are starving, and your stress level is completely off the charts.
You spent 3 hours on a Tuesday night dealing with food.
Yes.
Just hearing you describe that before week is giving me a physical reaction.
It's stressful just talking about it.
Because it is so incredibly accurate. It's reactive living.
Yes, reactive.
You are constantly on the back foot, just reacting to the emergency of your own hunger rather than being prepared for it.
Exactly.
So, how does the mindset shift change the reality of the after week?
The after week is a complete paradigm shift.
Okay.
Because you spent a very small, concentrated amount of time over the weekend looking ahead, Monday looks entirely different.
Also.
You walk through the door at 5 p.m. The decision of what to eat was already made on Saturday morning.
So no debate.
No debate. You open the fridge, and your vegetables are already washed, chopped, and waiting in glass containers.
Oh, that sounds nice.
Your chicken is already sitting in a marinade. You do not have to think.
You just have to execute.
You grab a sheet pan, toss those prepped ingredients onto it, and slide it into the oven.
So what's the active time?
Your active prep time is 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
Your roasting time is 20 minutes. But during that time, your hands are free.
That's the key.
You can go change out of your work clothes, you can sort the mail, or just sit on the couch with a glass of water and breathe.
And your stress level
Is virtually zero.
I really want to ground this for you listening, because the true benefit here isn't just about eating healthier.
No, that's just a byproduct.
I mean, obviously getting more vegetables into your diet is a massive perk. But the real tangible benefit is about protecting your mental energy after a demanding workday.
It's about energy conservation.
For a busy modern woman, removing that 5:00 p.m. debate is a massive emotional relief.
It's huge.
It is like taking a heavy-loaded backpack off your shoulders the second you walk through the door.
I love that analogy.
You are intentionally creating a soft landing pad for yourself at the end of the day. You don't have to be the household manager, the executive chef, and the procurement officer all at once.
You just follow the rhythm.
You just follow the gentle, simple rhythm you set up for yourself when you actually have the cognitive bandwidth to do it.
It is an act of deep self-care.
It really is.
It's treating your future self with respect. But to make that gentle rhythm possible, we have to look at the physical environment.
The kitchen itself.
Right. The guide moves immediately into Chapter 2, which outlines the logic of a simplified, functional kitchen.
Because you can't have a calm mindset in a chaotic room.
Exactly. You cannot execute a calm 30-minute mindset if your physical environment is constantly working against you.
Oh, this is so true. Clutter in the kitchen translates directly to clutter in the mind.
Visual noise.
Yes, if I have to dig through a chaotic mountain of mismatched plastic containers just to find the one lid I need.
We all have that drawer.
Or if I have to move 3 unused appliances out of the way just to find space on my cutting board, my heart rate elevates instantly.
The physical friction makes the mental friction worse.
Exactly.
It creates visual noise, which your brain has to process, further depleting your energy.
So what does the guide recommend?
What's fascinating here is that the source material explicitly debunks the pervasive myth that you need a gourmet, professional-level setup to cook healthy food fast.
Really? Because we're always sold gadgets.
The culinary industry constantly tries to sell us solutions in the form of gadgets, but you do not need expensive, single-use gadgets cluttering your countertops.
Like what?
You don't need an avocado slicer, a strawberry huller, a specialized garlic press.
Or one of those industrial stand mixers for a Tuesday night dinner.
Exactly. The guide treats your kitchen like a functional, streamlined workshop and lists strictly essential tools.
Okay, I have to play devil's advocate here.
Go for it.
Only a few essential tools. I hear you on the clutter, but if I'm trying to feed a family quickly, don't those gadgets actually save time?
It's an illusion of saving time.
Because chopping everything by hand with just one knife sounds like it's going to take me an hour just to get the vegetables ready for the pan. Does the source actually address the time it takes for a novice to prep with a minimal setup?
It does, and the logic is deeply rooted in professional kitchen efficiency.
Okay, explain.
The issue with gadgets is that while they might save you 10 seconds on the actual task, like crushing a clove of garlic,
Right.
they cost you 5 minutes in digging them out of the drawer, figuring out how to assemble them, and then painstakingly washing all their tiny components afterward.
Ugh, cleaning a garlic press is awful.
A knife just needs a quick wipe.
That's very true.
So what makes the Essential Workshop cut? It is surprisingly minimal.
Lay it on me.
First and foremost, one sharp 8-inch chef's knife.
Just one.
Not a giant wooden block of 20 dull knives taking up counter space. Just one high-quality, meticulously sharp knife.
Can we pause on the sharp knife?
Yeah.
Because I think people are actually intimidated by very sharp knives.
They are.
They think a dull knife is safer because it won't cut them as deeply if they slip.
That is a very common misconception, and the guide specifically addresses it.
What does it say?
A dull knife is infinitely more dangerous than a sharp one.
Why?
When you use a dull knife on, say, an onion or a tomato, the blade doesn't bite into the skin, it slides.
Oh, right.
And because it's not cutting, you instinctively apply more downward physical force to try and force it through the food.
You're pressing really hard.
Yes. When that dull blade inevitably slips off the slick surface of the tomato under all that pressure, it goes straight into your hand.
Ouch. Yeah, that makes sense.
A sharp knife requires almost zero force. The geometry of the blade does the work.
So it just glides.
It bites instantly, making chopping safer, faster, and actually an enjoyable rhythmic process rather than a physical struggle.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. The physics of it actually reduces the effort. What else is in the Essential Workshop?
Second is a large, sturdy cutting board, and I mean large.
How large?
You need ample space to work without chopped vegetables constantly falling off the edges and rolling under the fridge.
Which just causes more frustration.
Exactly. Third, 2 to 3 large rimmed sheet pans, ideally 13 by 18 inches.
The sheet pans.
These are the absolute engines of the weeknight dinner, and we will talk heavily about them later.
Okay, what's fourth?
Fourth, a large skillet or wok, something in the 10 to 12-inch range.
Non-stick.
Either high-quality nonstick or well-seasoned cast iron for high-heat searing.
Got it.
And finally, a 4 to 6 quart pot with a tight-fitting lid.
For boiling water, cooking grains, or making quick soups.
That is the core hardware. If you have those 5 items, you can execute 95% of weeknight meals flawlessly.
I actually love how freeing it is to know you don't need a gourmet setup.
It's very accessible.
It really lowers the barrier to entry.
Yeah.
If you have a good knife, a big board, a pan, a skillet, and a pot, you are fully equipped.
You're ready to go.
But the hardware is only half the battle. What about the pantry?
The pantry.
Because opening a beautifully organized cabinet to find absolutely nothing edible is just as stressful as staring at an empty fridge.
The pantry is your safety net. It is the foundation that allows you to pivot when things go wrong.
What are the non-negotiables?
The guide outlines non-negotiables that ensure you are always at most 10 minutes away from a complete meal.
I love the sound of that.
The logic here focuses strictly on versatility and speed. For grains, quinoa is highlighted as a weeknight superhero
Why quinoa specifically?
because it cooks in just 15 minutes, unlike brown rice, which can take 45 minutes of simmering.
Oh, that's a huge difference.
Having quinoa on hand means you always have a fast, protein-rich base.
Quinoa is great, but what about proteins? If I forgot to thaw meat, what is in the pantry that saves me?
Canned beans,
Really?
black beans, chickpeas, cannellini beans, these are instant sources of plant-based protein and fiber that require absolutely zero cooking time.
You just open the can?
You just open the can, rinse them under the tap to remove the excess sodium, and they are ready to eat.
That is fast.
Canned crushed tomatoes are another non-negotiable. They form the base of rapid, flavorful sauces in minutes.
And what about oils?
Importantly, the guide stresses understanding your cooking oils. You need a good extra virgin olive oil for roasting at moderate temperatures and making dressings.
Right.
But you must have avocado oil or another high-heat oil for stir-fries.
Let's clarify that oil distinction, because I used to just pour olive oil into a screaming hot pan and wonder why my kitchen immediately filled with bitter-smelling smoke.
And the smoke alarm went off.
Yes, the smoke alarm singing the song of its people. Why does that happen?
That's all about the smoke point. Extra virgin olive oil is unrefined, meaning it still has tiny particles of the olive in it.
Okay.
Those particles burn and turn bitter at around 350 to 375 degrees Fahrenheit.
Which is lower than a hot skillet.
Much lower. If you are doing a high-heat sear in a skillet, you need a refined oil like avocado oil, which has a smoke point of over 500 degrees.
Wow, that's high.
It allows you to get that beautiful brown crust on your food without smoking out your house or ruining the flavor.
That is a crucial tip. But I want to highlight something specific from the source material that I think is the absolute ultimate safety valve for a chaotic weeknight.
What's that?
The frozen section.
Yes.
The guide gives you total, unapologetic permission to lean heavily on frozen vegetables.
It does.
Frozen broccoli, frozen spinach, frozen peas. And I really want to emphasize this for you listening because there is this lingering stigma that frozen vegetables are somehow inferior.
You're cheating.
Right, like it's a shortcut you should feel bad about.
Yeah.
There is zero guilt in using frozen vegetables. In fact, they are often more nutritious than the fresh produce sitting in the grocery store.
It's true.
They are picked at peak ripeness and flash frozen within hours, locking in all their vitamins.
The nutritional science absolutely backs that up. A fresh head of broccoli might spend a week on a truck.
Just sitting there.
Losing nutrients every single day before it even reaches your crisper drawer. Flash freezing suspends the nutritional degradation immediately.
But beyond the nutrition, the functional logic is about removing friction.
Removing the barriers.
Frozen vegetables require zero washing, zero peeling, and zero chopping.
Which is huge at 5:00 p.m.
Exactly. When your week is falling apart, when you are running on empty and you just cannot face a cutting board, pulling a bag of frozen broccoli out of the freezer and tossing it directly into a hot pan is a massive victory.
It is the emergency ripcord.
It prevents you from opening that delivery app. It's realistic, modern cooking.
It's a highly logical approach to navigating modern friction. And this logic of removing friction brings us right to the absolute core rhythm of this entire philosophy.
Which is?
Which is found in Chapter 3, Meal Prep Power.
Okay, wait, meal prep.
I know.
This is the phrase that strikes fear into the hearts of weekend lovers everywhere. Let's really break this down.
Let's do it.
Because my immediate reaction, and I'm sure the reaction of everyone listening, is I do not want to spend my Sunday afternoon surrounded by a mountain of Tupperware.
Portioning out sad little meals.
Yes, portioning out sad little meals for the rest of my life. It feels restrictive and exhausting.
And if that were the method, it would be restrictive and exhausting. But the source material is very careful to reframe this entirely.
Pass up.
It explains the logic of strategic front-loading.
Strategic front-loading.
The idea isn't to cook 5 identical, fully completed meals and stack them in your fridge so you can eat the exact same thing every day.
Thank goodness.
The logic is that you are simply taking the most time-consuming, lowest-value, highest-friction tasks.
Like what?
The washing, the peeling, the basic chopping, the long cooking times of tough grains, and you're doing them all at once when you actually have the time, the energy, and the cognitive bandwidth.
So you're batching the work.
You are batching the friction.
Batching the friction. I like that framing. So you are doing the annoying parts of cooking all at once,
Yeah.
in a focused burst, so you don't have to experience that annoyance 5 nights in a row.
Exactly.
How long does this actually take? Because if it's more than 2 hours, I'm out.
The guide breaks down a highly efficient 60 to 90-minute Sunday prep rhythm.
60 to 90 minutes, that's manageable.
That is the maximum time investment. And it's broken into incredibly logical, overlapping steps.
Walk me through the steps.
Step 1 is just 10 to 15 minutes of planning and generating an organized shopping list, ideally done on a Saturday so it's out of the way.
Okay, so map it out.
You look at your calendar, see which nights are busiest, and plan your meals around that reality.
Makes sense. Step 2 is the actual physical setup, right?
Yes, once you have the groceries, you don't just shove them into the fridge.
This is where I failed.
You clear your counters, you pull out your large cutting board or your sharp knife, and you mass wash all your produce at once.
And just getting the sink wet once instead of 5 times is a win in my book.
It really is.
But is there a trick to storing it? Because whenever I wash produce early, it seems to rot faster in the fridge.
The enemy of stored produce is moisture.
Oh.
The prep rhythm dictates that after you mass wash, you must dry the produce thoroughly.
Oh.
Using a salad spinner for greens or a clean towel for peppers and broccoli before storing. If you put wet broccoli into a sealed container, it will turn into a slimy mess in 2 days.
So true.
But if it's dry, it stays crisp all week.
Okay, so produce is washed and dried. What is step 3 in this 90-minute window?
Step 3 is batch cooking your grains. While you are standing at the counter dealing with the vegetables, you have a pot on the stove making a double or triple batch of quinoa, brown rice, or farro.
So you're multitasking.
Because grains require essentially zero active attention once they are simmering, you are multitasking effortlessly.
You're just letting the stove do the work.
It takes 45 minutes to cook brown rice, but it requires only 2 minutes of your actual time. Yet it yields days of foundational food.
It's a great return on investment.
Step 4 is the uniform chopping. You take that sharp 8-inch knife and you process your bell peppers, your onions, your sweet potatoes, and you store them in airtight glass containers.
And finally, the proteins.
Exactly. Step 5 is marinating your proteins. For example, taking 2 pounds of chicken breast, tossing it in a Ziploc bag or a glass bowl with olive oil, lemon juice, garlic, and Italian herbs, and sealing it.
So it's ready to go.
And there's a huge culinary advantage here. That marinade doesn't just sit there. The acid in the lemon juice slowly breaks down the tough protein fibers over the next couple of days.
Tenderizing the meat.
Yes, tenderizing it and infusing it with flavor so it's deeply seasoned by the time you cook it on Tuesday.
Let's pause and imagine the result of this 90-minute investment. Because the theory is sound, but the feeling you get from this is where the magic really happens.
Paint the picture.
Imagine it is Wednesday night. You are exhausted from back-to-back meetings. You open the fridge.
And what do you see?
Instead of seeing raw, demanding ingredients, you see a neat stack of clear containers. You see bright, pre-chopped bell peppers ready to go.
It's a great visual.
You see a container of fluffy, perfectly cooked quinoa. You see chicken that is already infused with lemon and herbs. It honestly feels like a gift from your past self.
That's exactly what it is.
It is a tangible, visible manifestation of you taking care of you.
That is the exact psychological reward the system is designed to create. You aren't just saving 20 minutes of chopping.
Of you saving.
You are preserving your willpower and protecting your peace.
But I do have one major concern with prep, and it's something a lot of our listeners brought up in their notes.
Let's hear it.
Meal fatigue.
Ah, yes.
If I spend Sunday prepping, aren't I just locking myself into eating the exact same flavor profile all week?
That's the fear.
I get so bored eating the same chicken and rice dish by Thursday. I end up throwing it out and ordering takeout anyway.
That is a very valid concern, and it's why the guide introduces a concept called the parent pro tip, though it applies to everyone.
What's the tip?
The secret to avoiding meal fatigue is that you are not batch prepping full, completed recipes.
Oh, okay.
You are batch prepping neutral building blocks.
What do you mean by neutral building block?
It means you are preparing components that can swing in entirely different culinary directions depending on the night.
Give me an example.
Plain quinoa and simply chopped vegetables are neutral.
Right.
Monday's dinner might take those prepped bell peppers and that marinated lemon chicken, roast them on a sheet pan, and serve them warm alongside the quinoa.
Sounds delicious.
But Wednesday's dinner might use the exact same leftover chicken and cold quinoa, but mix them with fresh greens, feta cheese, olives, and a Greek vinaigrette to create a cold, crisp power bowl.
Wow.
You are using the exact same foundation to create entirely different temperature, texture, and flavor experiences.
That flexibility is amazing.
That flexibility keeps the weeknight dinner rhythm feeling fresh and dynamic without requiring extra cooking.
Oh, that makes so much sense. Because the heavy lifting, the cooking of the grain, the chopping of the veg, the cooking of the protein is done. But the assembly dictates the flavor.
Precisely.
That flexibility takes us directly into part 2 of the source material, which is the 30-minute playbook.
This is the fun part.
This is where we explore the specific meal arcs that actually utilize these prepped ingredients. And the first arc, which is arguably the most important for weeknight survival, is the sheet pan supper, detailed in Chapter 4.
The sheet pan supper really is the hero of the modern working family.
It saves lives.
And it all comes down to the scientific logic of high heat roasting. The guide explicitly recommends a hot oven, usually around 400 degrees Fahrenheit or about 200 degrees Celsius.
Right.
This temperature isn't arbitrary, it is crucial for flavor development.
Why is 400 degrees the magic number? If I'm nervous about burning things, can I just roast at 350?
You can, but you will miss out on the most important chemical reaction in cooking. If the oven is too cool, the water inside the vegetable slowly seeps out, and the food just sort of steams in its own juices.
Oh, nobody likes steamed, mushy vegetables.
It gets soft, pale, and frankly, mushy and unappetizing. But at 400 degrees, the heat is intense enough to rapidly evaporate surface moisture and trigger the Maillard reaction.
The Maillard reaction, I've heard chefs use that term on TV. Can you break down what that actually is in plain English?
Certainly. The Maillard reaction is a chemical reaction between amino acids, which are proteins,
Okay.
and reducing sugars that gives browned food its distinctive flavor. It's what makes a seared steak taste better than boiled beef,
Right.
or toasted bread taste better than raw bread. When you put vegetables and proteins into a 400-degree oven, the high heat causes the natural sugars and proteins on the surface of the food to recombine into hundreds of new complex flavor compounds.
That sounds amazing.
You get that beautiful caramelization on the edges of the broccoli. The natural sugars in a bell pepper or a red onion concentrate, intensify, and sweeten.
And the chicken.
The chicken browns perfectly. The high heat does all the heavy lifting for flavor development, so you don't have to rely on complicated sauces.
But doesn't roasting everything on one pan mean some things get mushy while others burn?
Not if you follow the rules of the sheet pan. The biggest mistake people make is crowding the pan.
Putting too much on it.
If you pile 4 cups of vegetables on top of each other, the moisture can't escape. And again, you create steam, preventing the Maillard reaction.
So they have to have space.
You need a large 13 by 18-inch pan so the ingredients can spread out in a single layer.
What's an example recipe from the book?
The guide details a fantastic lemon herb chicken and veggies recipe to illustrate this. You take your pre-marinated chicken, 4 cups of your pre-chopped vegetables,
Sauce them together.
toss them all in a little extra olive oil so the heat conducts evenly, spread them in a single layer on the pan, and roast for 20 to 25 minutes.
And the beauty of this is what you were doing during those 25 minutes.
Exactly.
Which is absolutely nothing. You are entirely hands-off. That is the ultimate luxury for a tired brain.
It is a true luxury.
For you listening, there is zero active standing over the stove time. You don't have to stir a pot.
Nope.
You don't have to flip anything with a spatula. You don't have to monitor a simmering sauce to make sure it doesn't boil over. You literally just set a timer on your phone and walk away.
Go decompress.
You can help kids with homework, you can take a shower, or you can just lie on the floor and stare at the ceiling.
Which is perfectly valid.
And then, at the end of the night, there is exactly one single pan to wash. If you line it with parchment paper or foil, you might not even have to scrub it at all. It is the most elegant, low-friction solution to weeknight exhaustion.
It truly is. But the guide also offers a brilliant variation on this to make it even faster.
Faster than that.
The sausage, peppers, and onions sheet pan. What's strategic here is the choice of protein. Instead of raw chicken, you use a pre-cooked protein, like a high-quality Italian chicken or turkey sausage.
Oh, because the meat is already fully and safely cooked at the factory. You don't have to worry about undercooking it or using a meat thermometer.
Exactly. Your only goal in the oven is to heat the sausages through, get some beautiful blistered color on the casings, and caramelize the peppers and onions.
So it's basically just warming and browning.
It takes the food safety pressure off completely, and it cooks even faster.
And let's talk about the real-world application here, especially if you have kids or picky eaters at the table.
Yes, the family dynamic.
Because, as any parent knows, mixed foods can sometimes be an absolute battleground. If a piece of onion touches a piece of chicken, the whole meal is rejected. How does the sheet pan help manage that family dynamic?
The guide has a specific strategy for this. Since you are using a flat sheet pan, the real estate is entirely yours to manage visually.
Right, there are no walls.
The food doesn't have to be mixed together like it does in a casserole. You can keep the chicken strictly on the left side, the broccoli in the middle, and the sweet potatoes on the right.
And if you have a child who refuses seasoned food entirely, like they see a speck of pepper and refuse to eat.
Then you just grab a second, smaller sheet pan. You take a handful of plain, unseasoned broccoli and a piece of plain chicken, put it on the small pan, and slide it into the oven right alongside the main dinner.
You're making two versions, but with the same effort.
You are catering to the picky eater's preferences without having to cook an entirely separate second meal on the stove. It's a low-effort compromise.
I love that. Or, for that sausage and peppers recipe, you can easily pivot the presentation to avoid complaints.
How so?
You can serve the roasted sausage and peppers over a bed of sophisticated quinoa for yourself. But you take the exact same ingredients and put them on a toasted hoagie roll with a slice of provolone cheese for the kids.
Ah, sandwich night.
Suddenly, it's not a healthy vegetable dinner, it's a fun sandwich night. And the resistance just disappears. You're using the exact same roasted ingredients, produced from the exact same sheet pan, but packaging them differently to manage the psychology of your household.
That adaptability is key to maintaining the rhythm without feeling like a frustrated short-order cook. Now, moving to the second major meal arc in the playbook, Chapter 5 introduces speedy stir-fries and skillets.
The skillet.
If the sheet pan is about slow, hands-off roasting, the skillet is about active, high-heat speed.
Okay, so this is for the nights when we don't even have 25 minutes to wait for the oven. This is when we want food on plates in literally 15 minutes. How does the skillet method achieve that?
The science of the skillet relies on rapid conduction and searing. This is where that high-heat oil we discussed, like avocado oil, becomes essential.
Right.
You want your skillet or wok shimmering hot before any food touches it. When the ingredients hit the pan, the intense direct heat sears them instantly.
Searing locks it in.
This locks in their texture and moisture, preventing them from releasing water and steaming. The guide outlines a quick beef and broccoli stir-fry that perfectly illustrates these mechanics.
Beef can be tricky to cook quickly without it turning into shoe leather. What's the technique?
You use a thin cut, like flank steak, and you slice it very thinly against the grain to shorten the muscle fibers.
Against the grain is so important.
It is. You sear it in small batches in the hot oil. You only leave it in the pan for about 2 minutes per side.
Just 2 minutes.
It browns rapidly but stays incredibly tender inside. Then you remove the beef, quickly stir-fry your pre-chopped broccoli until it's bright green, and then bring the beef back into the pan.
Okay, and the sauce.
Finally, you pull it all together with a very fast, simple sauce made of beef broth, soy sauce or tamari, a little honey, minced ginger, and cornstarch.
The cornstarch is the magic ingredient there, right?
Yes, cornstarch is a thickening agent. When it hits the boiling liquid in the pan, the starch granules swell and burst, thickening the liquid almost instantly.
It creates that glossy texture.
It creates a glossy, rich coating that clings to the beef and broccoli in seconds. The total time from turning on the burner to serving the meal is under 15 minutes.
And this is where that Sunday prep rhythm shows its absolute brilliance again. If you already washed and chopped your broccoli on Sunday and you whisked that simple soy ginger sauce together and left it in a little jar in the fridge, this meal feels less like cooking and more like a magic trick.
It's just assembly.
You are basically just assembling a puzzle in a hot pan. And for the family dynamic, the source material has another gem in this chapter. The one-pan chicken fajita skillet.
Yes, slicing your pre-marinated chicken, tossing it into the hot skillet with your pre-chopped bell peppers and onions.
Getting that great char.
And getting that great, slightly blackened char on everything in a cast iron pan.
Right. But the brilliance isn't just the fast cooking method. It's the presentation at the table. The guide suggests serving this skillet directly in the center of the table as a fajita toppings bar.
The toppings bar.
You surround the hot pan with little bowls of shredded cheese, salsa, maybe some guacamole or sour cream if you have it. And I cannot stress enough how much kids, and honestly adults, love a toppings bar.
It changes the dynamic of the meal entirely.
It really does.
Right.
When you plate a fully composed meal and hand it to a child, you are giving them a mandate, You were saying, eat this.
Right.
But when you give them an empty tortilla and let them choose exactly how much cheese goes on, and they get to spoon the salsa themselves, you give them autonomy.
I love
Might
awesome.
become the architect of their own dinner. And psychologically, when they build it, they are incredibly invested in eating it. The power struggle at the dinner table just evaporates.
It transforms dinner from a chore into an interactive experience. It's very smart.
What's next in the playbook?
Let's look at the third major arc covered in chapters 6 and 7, which focuses on pasta power and fast bowls. This is about relying on ultra-fast 10-minute pantry bases.
Pasta is tricky, though.
Why is that?
It's the ultimate comfort food. But for a busy Tuesday night, a heavy carb load usually means I am asleep on the couch by 7:30 p.m. I associate pasta with huge, heavy weekend meals. Is there a way to do pasta that doesn't feel like a brick in your stomach?
There is, and it requires a shift in how you view the dish. The guide reframes pasta by focusing on technique and proportion. Instead of drowning a massive bowl of pasta in heavy, simmered all-day meat sauces or thick dairy creams, it treats the pasta simply as a vehicle for fresh vegetables and rapid light sauces.
Give me an example.
For instance, the simple pesto pasta. The logic here utilizes a classic foundational culinary technique: starchy pasta water emulsification.
Emulsification, that's another great technical term. How does pasta water create an emulsion?
An emulsion is the forced combination of two liquids that don't naturally mix, like oil and water.
Okay.
Pesto is heavily oil-based. If you just dump pesto onto wet pasta, the oil separates and pools at the bottom of the bowl, leaving the pasta greasy and the flavor uneven.
I've definitely done that.
But as your pasta boils, it releases starches into the water. Just before draining the pasta, you reserve half a cup of that cloudy, starchy water.
You save the water.
You toss your hot grained pasta in a large bowl with cherry tomatoes, a couple of spoonfuls of pesto, and a splash of that reserved water.
And what happens?
The starch in the water acts as a natural emulsifier, essentially forming a bridge between the oil in the pesto and the water. It binds them together, creating a creamy, cohesive, velvety sauce without using a single drop of heavy cream.
That's genius.
It's light, it's incredibly fast, and it requires zero actual cooking of the sauce itself.
I absolutely love that technique. It feels very sophisticated, but takes no extra time. And because pesto has such a strong, vibrant flavor, it's a great opportunity for the hidden veggies trick, which the source material mentions.
The hidden veggies.
If you have a child who is highly suspicious of anything green on their plate, pesto is the perfect camouflage. You can finally grate a whole zucchini or wilt a massive handful of spinach directly into that pesto sauce while you are tossing it with the hot pasta.
They'll never know.
Because the sauce is already bright green and highly flavorful from the basil and garlic, the extra vegetables just completely disappear into the texture. The kids get a huge hit of vitamins, and you get peace of mind. But speaking of pasta, the guide also has a slightly more involved dish that completely upends how we normally cook it.
Specifically regarding cleanup,
Yes.
you're referring to the one-pot creamy lemon chicken pasta. This is a fascinating application of culinary efficiency.
How does it work?
Typically, making a pasta dish with a protein requires at least 2, often 3 pots. One large pot to boil the water, a skillet to sauté the chicken, and maybe another pan to build the sauce. You end up with a sink full of dishes.
It's a mess.
But in this one-pot recipe, the dry, uncooked pasta is added directly into the pot alongside the sautéed chicken and a measured amount of chicken broth.
Wait, you don't boil the pasta in a massive pot of salted water first?
No, you literally cook the dry pasta in the flavorful broth. You bring it to a simmer and cover it. As the pasta cooks, it absorbs the chicken broth instead of plain water, making the pasta itself incredibly flavorful from the inside out.
Wow.
Simultaneously, the pasta releases its starches directly into the small amount of remaining liquid in the pot, naturally thickening it into a sauce.
So it makes its own sauce.
At the very end, when the liquid is mostly absorbed, you stir in a splash of milk, some frozen peas, and a squeeze of fresh lemon juice. The result is a creamy, rich-tasting, complete meal, and you only dirtied one single pot.
That is the definition of weeknight efficiency. One pot, complete meal, incredible flavor, minimal cleanup. It's brilliant. And speaking of complete meals in one vessel, we have to talk about the fast bowls from Chapter 7.
The fast bowls.
Because if the sheet pan is the hero of the oven, the bowl is the absolute hero of the pantry.
The deconstructed nature of the power bowl is what makes it so powerful. It relies entirely on the building blocks we discussed in the weekend prep.
The prepped grains and veg.
It's an assembly job, not a cooking job. You start with a base of your pre-cooked grains, say that cold quinoa from Sunday. You add a layer of protein, like the leftover lemon herb chicken or some canned chickpeas.
Layering?
Then you add color and crunch with fresh or roasted vegetables. And you tie it all together with a vibrant dressing. The guide details a beautiful chicken and quinoa power bowl, but it also highlights a meatless Monday option, the black bean and rice burrito bowl.
The burrito bowl is your emergency ripcord for the busiest, most chaotic days.
Absolutely.
If your rice is already cooked from Sunday, assembling a burrito bowl takes literally 5 minutes. You open a can of black beans and a can of corn, rinse them, warm them up in the microwave for 60 seconds, put them over the rice, add a dollop of jarred salsa, and maybe a sprinkle of cheese or some avocado if you have it.
That sounds amazing.
It is a complete, satisfying, protein and fiber-rich meal that requires zero actual cooking. When the day has completely gotten away from you and you are exhausted to your very bones, knowing you can have a burrito bowl in 5 minutes is what keeps you out of the drive-through lane.
It provides immense resilience to your week. And that concept of resilience brings us to the final section of the source material, which deals with sustaining this flow and troubleshooting when things inevitably go wrong.
Because things always go wrong.
Because a daily rhythm is only as good as its ability to handle chaos. In chapters 8 and 9, the focus shifts to the master plan.
The master plan.
This is where we learn how to link these meal arcs together so that the week feels like a continuous, effortless flow rather than a series of isolated, stressful cooking events.
Right, because if you treat every single dinner as a brand new, from-scratch project, you're going to burn out by Wednesday. How do we link them effectively?
You link them by ensuring ingredients flow naturally from one meal to the next, carrying the momentum forward.
How does the book suggest doing that?
The guide shows how Sunday's double batch of quinoa isn't just a side dish on Monday. It becomes the cold base for Tuesday's power bowl.
Okay.
And then the remaining handful of quinoa is tossed into Thursday's quick beef stir-fry to add bulk and stretch the meat further. You are cooking once and harvesting the benefits multiple times.
That's so smart.
This master planning also extends heavily to budgeting logic.
Budgeting is huge right now.
The guide advises shopping seasonally when produce is naturally cheaper and more flavorful, buying essential dry grains in bulk, leaning confidently on those frozen produce options we discussed to prevent food waste,
Right.
and smartly stretching expensive meats by incorporating plant-based proteins, like adding a can of black beans to a beef skillet to make half a pound of meat feed 4 people.
And the appendix of the book is essentially a cheat sheet for this master plan. I want to point out the master ratio for the basic vinaigrette because it is so empowering to realize you do not need to buy expensive, bottled salad dressings that are full of preservatives and added sugars.
Yes, the vinaigrette ratio relies on emulsification again.
How does that work without pasta water?
The classic ratio is simple. 1/4 cup of olive oil to 2 tablespoons of vinegar or citrus juice.
Okay, oil and vinegar.
But to make them bind together, you add a teaspoon of Dijon mustard.
Ah, the mustard.
The mucilage in the mustard acts as the emulsifier, locking the oil and vinegar together into a creamy dressing. Once you have that ratio memorized, you can whip up a dressing in a glass jar, give it a hard shake, and have a perfect vinaigrette in 30 seconds.
And the appendix also includes a quick reference chart for protein safety temperatures. 165 degrees Fahrenheit for chicken, 145 degrees for salmon. Having those exact numbers as a mental cheat sheet just removes another tiny layer of doubt and friction from the cooking process. You don't have to guess if the chicken is done. You just know.
It acts as an anchor of confidence in the kitchen, but, as you alluded to earlier, we must address the reality of the truly chaotic day.
The day it all falls apart.
The day when the meeting ran 2 hours late, the kids are melting down, the plan is completely out the window, and everything falls apart. What's fascinating here is that the materials anticipate this reality and provide a specific troubleshooting chart.
Yes. Let's walk through that because this is the real world. This is where the rubber meets the road. Let's say it's 5:30 p.m. You finally walk in the door. You look at your beautiful meal plan and it says chicken skillet.
Okay.
But you realize with absolute horror that you forgot to take the chicken out of the freezer. It is a solid block of ice on the counter. What is the move?
According to the troubleshooting logic, You pivot immediately.
You pivot.
You do not try to speed thaw the chicken in the microwave.
Which is the worst.
Which inevitably cooks the edges, ruins the texture, and causes you more stress. You accept the situation and pivot to a pantry protein.
Like what?
You substitute the chicken with eggs. Maybe you make a quick 10-minute vegetable frittata in that same skillet using the peppers and onions you were going to use for the chicken dish. Or you open a can of tuna and pivot to a quick tuna and white bean salad over some greens. You rely on your stocked pantry to absorb the shock of the mistake.
Exactly. Don't fight the mistake, pivot around it. Or what if the scenario is even simpler? You are just too tired to cook, period. You are physically ill or emotionally drained, and you cannot fathom turning on the stove.
Then you default entirely to the fast bowl methodology.
You just assemble.
You assemble a meal from your prepped, cold ingredients without applying any heat at all. You toss some mixed greens, your pre-cooked grains, chopped bell peppers, and maybe some feta cheese or nuts with that master vinaigrette you made. Dinner is served in 3 minutes, it's nutritious, and you didn't have to look at a stove.
It's about giving yourself grace, but having a structure to catch you when you fall. And I want to point out the broader context mentioned in the source material. This book, 30-Minute Healthy Dinners, is part of a larger ecosystem of guides.
Yes, it is.
The notes mention other titles in the series like 5-minute breakfasts, 15-minute lunches, and 10-minute desserts. It frames this evening dinner flow as just one component of a much lighter, more elegant lifestyle rhythm. It's not just about surviving dinner and getting calories into your body. It's about engineering your environment so that healthy, mindful living is the path of least resistance throughout your entire day.
That is the ultimate goal, engineering an elegant living rhythm where doing the right thing for your body is actually the easiest thing to do. And to help the listener step into that elegant rhythm, we need to talk about practical application.
We need to discuss the Saturday setup.
Yes, we have covered a massive amount of ground today. We've talked about science, psychology, and multiple cooking methods. And the absolute last thing we want is for you to feel overwhelmed.
We do not want you to wake up this weekend and feel like you have to execute a flawless 90-minute prep session, reorganize your entire kitchen, and map out every meal for the next month.
That is a recipe for immediate burnout and frustration.
Agreed. The goal of the Saturday setup is to provide a simple, highly actionable gift that you can give to yourself this weekend. A micro habit that proves the concept of the 30-minute mindset without feeling like a chore.
So instead of a massive overhaul, your Saturday setup for this week is to choose just one tiny prep habit.
Just one. What is a good starting point?
A perfect starting point is taking 5 minutes on Saturday morning to just make that master vinaigrette.
Just the dressing.
Put a quarter cup of olive oil, 2 tablespoons of vinegar, a little Dijon mustard, a pinch of salt, and pepper into a glass jar. Shake it vigorously until it emulsifies and leave it in the fridge. That's it. You are entirely done with your prep.
Or, while you're waiting for your morning coffee to brew on Sunday, just put 1 pot of quinoa on the stove, let it simmer for 15 minutes while you drink your coffee, put the cooked grain in a glass container, and slide it into the fridge. That is your entire weekend prep commitment.
And here is exactly what will happen.
You will execute that one small rhythm, and it won't feel like a big deal at the time. But then, on Tuesday night, when you are tired and hungry and the decision fatigue is setting in, you will open the fridge and see that cooked quinoa or that ready-made dressing, and you will experience a profound aha moment.
You really will.
You will feel a physical wave of genuine relief wash over you. You'll realize, oh, a piece of the work is already done. I don't have to start from zero. And that feeling of relief is exactly what will motivate you to try maybe 2 tiny prep habits the following weekend. It builds naturally, without force.
It creates a positive, self-sustaining feedback loop. And if we connect this all to the bigger picture, it raises an important, deeper point to mull over as we close. Consider how preparing a simple, unrushed meal is not just about fulfilling a biological need for nutrition. It is a fundamental act of care and grounding, both for yourself and your family. In a modern world that is constantly pulling our attention outward, bombarding us with screens and notifications and demands, returning to the kitchen with intention is a way of anchoring yourself. Reclaiming your kitchen is not just about managing food, it is really about reclaiming your evening peace and your sense of home.
That is so beautifully said. It really is about reclaiming your peace and creating a soft place to land at the end of the day. And on that note, we're going to wrap up our deep dive into these sources for today.
It's been a great conversation.
If you want to dive deeper into these ideas, the full guide is available on Amazon. You can find the link in our bio. It's a perfect deep dive for a quiet afternoon. Thanks for listening to FM Talks.